Okay, here's our third video using the double number line to add these fraction expressions. So what we do is we look at the fractions we're dealing with. In this first problem we have 4/14 and 1/7. Set my number line up. And what I'm looking for here is a number that is friendly for both 7 and 14. So that number for me is going to be 14. And by friendly I mean both 7 and 14 go into that number. And you might know this as a least common multiple of these two numbers, and that's exactly what it is. So now what we do is we add these two fractions on this number line. And on the bottom we're going to deal with whole numbers, on the top we'll deal with fractions. And I think you'll see what I mean in a moment. So the first thing we're going to do is add 4/14. Well, 14, the denominator here, goes into 14 once. So every time we hop up 1/14, we're going to hop up 1 here. It's a directly proportional relationship, right? So when I hop up 4/14, I go from my starting point, 0, up to 4, right? And then I'm adding 1/7. How far am I going to hop now? Well, 7 goes into 14 twice. So 1/7 will hop me 2 places up to 6. What does all this mean? Well, the answer then is 6 out of 14, or 2/7. Okay, next we have 4/14, which is the same here, these are the same fraction, plus 14/28. 14/28, except now, set up my number line. The number I'm looking for that's useful as an endpoint for 14 and 28 is now going to be 28. Again, there I'm just using the higher of the two numbers, right? And when I hop 4/14, this time I'm not going to hop up to 4. What I'm actually going to do is hop up to 8. And the reason is, let me draw this like this. When I hop up 4/14, well, 14, we're scaling out now to 28, right? So every time we scale up 1/14, we really hop up 2 places. So 14, and the reason is 14 does go into 28 twice. So we look at the numerator, each hop there will be 2 spaces. And I want you to think about why that makes sense. 14th 28ths will hop up directly 14 spaces. 14 28ths. And we'll hop up 14 spaces to 22. And this time, our final answer, we added 4/14 and 14/28, and we'll get 22 out of 28. And if I reduce that, I get 11/14. So here, again, what's happening is, on the bottom, we try to think of this in terms of whole numbers, right? How much is a 14th if we're looking at it in terms of 28, right? Well, 1/14 has to hop up 2 spaces. And the reason being, if I hop 14 over 14, that's one whole, that's a whole unit. That would have to reach all the way to 28. And I'll show more examples. I think by showing, I'll do a better job, because I think I'm not doing a very good job explaining this. So 1/9 plus 15/30ths. First thing I'm going to do is rewrite this as 1/9 plus 1/2, right? 15 out of 30 is the same thing as having 1 out of 2. It's a half. And now it's a little bit easier to see that when I draw this number line, the friendly number I need at the end here is going to be 18. 9 and 2 both go into 18. So what is 1/9 in terms of 18? Well, it's going to hop up 2 spaces, right? 1/9, if I add 1/9, I get 2. Why? Because 9 goes into 18 twice. So 1/9 will have to go up 2 spaces. 1/2, well, really, what's half of 18? That's 9 spaces, right? So now we have to hop up half there. Half will be up 9, and we get to 11. So if I add 1/9 and a half, I get 11 out of 18. And last but not least, we're adding 2 1/9ths. Now this time, I would actually use the same scale, going up to 18, just for comparison. I could go up to 9, but I want to compare these two number lines to give you a better sense of how these double number lines work. So how far will I go from going at 1/9? Well, both 9s do go into 18, so each 1/9 has to hop up twice. So 1/9 hops up to 2. Another ninth hops up 2 more, and we end up at 4. So if I add 1/9 and 1/9, what do I get? 4 in terms of 18. If I reduce that, I get 2/9, which I think makes sense. That's what 2/9 is, right? 2/9 is a ninth and a ninth. So I feel like in this video I had a hard time, I guess, finding words for connecting how far you hop, but that really is critical in the double number line. I think in the next couple of strings I will try and do a much better job explaining it, and I hope you hang in there because this model can be, the double number line can be very useful.